Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you all for joining. Um, Welcome to this data migration into S4 HANA webinar. My name is Sridhar Oruganti. I am responsible for leading the SAP technical and SAP infrastructure services in the US for YASH. I also have my colleague joining, who is based out of India. It is pretty great for him there. Thank you, Manoj. I want to quickly do an introduction and then we can get on.
Yes, Sridhar. So, guys, myself, Manoj. I am currently a delivery manager working at YASH, holding nearly 18 years of SAP experience. Currently, globally heading the platform and technology group related to data. The main work we do in YASH with respect to platform of technology group of data is doing innovations, generating tools and accelerators around data. So this is a brief introduction. Thanks, Sridhar.
Thanks, Manoj. I know it is probably only a couple of minutes into this, but still, because in the interest of people who have joined, let us go ahead. Just to continue on the introduction and also to set the stage of this discussion today, this is the agenda that we plan to cover. We will quickly take you through about, what YASH is all about. What do we do as YASH Technologies? Where all we are located? What kind of services do we offer? We will quickly take you through those details first, followed by a data partner. What does a data partner mean? Can you go back to the agenda slide, please? What does a data partner mean? What are the typical roles and responsibilities and also the expectations from a data partner? First of all, who is a data partner? We'll quickly cover that. And we all must have heard of an implementation partner or a support partner and so on. But what is this data partner all about? And how important data partner, especially in the context of a S4HANA implementation or a S4HANA digital journey that many of our customers have already started. In that context, what kind of a role a data partner plays? We will quickly cover that. And also some of the typical data challenges that we have seen across the globe, of our own customers, of some of our prospects and so on, and how we have been addressing with the help of the platform and technology group that Manoj was alluding to earlier, wherein, our platform and technology group is responsible for coming up with innovative solutions, innovative accelerators that would help our customers to overcome the challenges in any of these spaces, specifically in the context of data today. What kind of work that the PTG group is doing, what kind of frameworks and accelerators that they have built that would help the customers in the S4HANA digital journey, and some of the accelerators also we would quickly demo and while explaining the framework behind that. We'll also quickly see a couple of case studies wherein we played a typical, a different role. We would also take you through those experiences. Thank you. A quick snapshot. I don't want to really spend a lot of time on YASH overview, but YASH Technologies has been in the industry into IT services. We have been a global system integrator for almost 26 years. Our headquarters is based out of Chicago. We have actually started our journey with John Deere being our primary customer initially, and we still carry the John Deere as our prime customer. And we have been working with them hand in hand for a long time, for almost 26 years. That being one of our Fortune 500 companies. And we are an 8,000 plus global talented employees. Many of them are based out of US, India, Middle East, Australia, and so on. But many of them are concentrated in and around India and US. We have been helping customers in their own digital transformations, their own S4HANA, especially in the context of SAP S4HANA transformation journey. We have been a partner of choice for many of our customers. we have, I mean, more importantly, I did mention that our headquarters is based out of East Moline. Definitely, that is our global headquarters is based out of East Moline, whereas our US headquarters is based out of Chicago. And if you see some of our customers also, I mean, can you quickly move back to the previous slide, please? We'll come to this again. Yeah, I mean, few of our customers apart from John Deere, I mean, these are all very well-known customers, Smith and Nephew, Caterpillar, Merck, etc., Charles Rivers, whereas all of these are US-based customers. Many of the rest of the customers also, you would see they're all based out of and headquartered based out of European regions as well, like Sandvik, Jush Bank, and Schlumberger, and so on. So this is a quick snapshot of where all we exist. We have offices everywhere. I mean, typically we have been actually following our customer. Wherever our customers are, we have been actually been able to set up our own offices, help the customers by being very close by. And our US headquarters, as you saw in the earlier slide, I mean, that is also listed here. We are based out of East Moline, Illinois, as far as our global headquarters, Chicago as our US headquarters, and many more offices and development centers in St. Louis, New Jersey. That is where I'm sitting right now, Princeton office, Texas. And then another customer, Caterpillar, is based out of Peoria. That's where we are. We have a big development center in Des Moines, Iowa, and so on. And similarly in India, jumping to India directly, I mean, because that's where many of our offices and also major chunk of our employees are located. And within India in itself, there are quite a lot of states that we operate from. Our primary offices and larger pool of SAP talent is based out of Hyderabad, Pune, and Bengaluru. And many of our offices exist in Middle East and Europe regions as well. I'll take a quick 1 or 2 minutes here explaining only the SAP practice, a little about SAP practice, what we do, and what all various services that we do offer. This is one quick, busy, and also a summarized and concise slide explaining almost a lot of information about our SAP. We have been offering services of SAP services, I mean, to all our customers, I mean, for more than 25, 26 years. And we do carry quite a lot of and very strong relationship with SAP. We have been a gold partner of SAP for a long time. We do not only provide, we do not only carry partner-edge build services, partner-edge sell services for licenses, partner-edge services. We're all certified on all those, I mean, and we stand at the global gold partner standard of SAP. And we also carry multiple other SAP certifications, SAP PCOE, that's what we call, wherein we actually help our customers host their systems, help our customers, whoever bought the SAP licenses from us, we actually help them in providing the first-hand support. What I meant by first-hand support is basically whenever a customer has a problem, typically we all have seen customers raising messages in the SAP support portal, but we do actually act as the first line of defense for such customers. Wherever we have actually sold the licenses, we do receive those support tickets first. We do actually address those first, and then only we actually send it back to the SAP team, just in case there is a product issue that needs to be tackled. So that is a PCOE. We're also a big SuccessFactors shop. I mean, quite a lot of SuccessFactors customers are also there with us. In fact, I mean, YASH Technologies itself runs its own HR systems using and central employee lifecycle management is actually dealt with using SAP SuccessFactors platform. We also have a strong relationship with SAP on AWS, SAP on Azure, and so on. We almost touch upon every single aspect that SAP offers in its product portfolio, starting from S/4HANA, analytics, be it embedded analytics, be it, I mean, SAC-based, SAP Analytics, cloud-based analytics, quite a lot of SAP infrastructure services, right from hosting the SAP systems all the way to migrating the systems to RISE with SAP model, which we will also touch upon probably, I mean, on one of the upcoming slides. And we offer conversions, migrations, and so on. Not only those kind of services, we do have quite a lot of QPPS, SAP qualified partner solutions. Quite a lot of industry vertical based solutions were certified by SAP for S/4HANA. You see in the first tab itself, you would see manufacturing one, CPG one, wholesale one, and so on. In all of these industry verticals, we have actually come up with SAP S/4HANA based accelerated way of implementing these solutions for the customers. Our own business process templates have been rolled into each of these into S/4HANA, and targeting that very specific industry vertical, which will help customers to implement S/4HANA if they want to implement for especially the mid-market customers. I mean, quickly turn it on for that very specific industry. We have already built in all those business processes into those products. Those are certified. And on the finance side also, I mean, we have actually been a go-to partner for SAP for the central finance implementations. Of late, we have been actually seeing quite a lot of traction in the SAP, especially for the SAP central finance needs from our customers. We have been doing quite a lot of central finance implementations in the US. A few customers are based out of in the East Coast as well. On the technology and UI space, if you see, I mean, SAP BTP is one of the important, I mean, technology platform as a platform as a service that SAP has introduced last year. It used to be called as a SAP Cloud Platform, that has been rebranded to SAP BTP, and quite a lot of other services have been brought under the SAP BTP umbrella, be it extension suite, integration suite, and so on and so forth. Actually, the integration suite name triggered something in my mind. As latest as last weekend, I mean, as of 24th, we won one of the Hack to Build event that was conducted by SAP Co-Innovation Lab, that was conducted in the US region. We were awarded the winner of that event that was conducted among 30 partners. It's a competition, and there were around 11 finalists. And one of the use cases that we presented has a potential and also enormous business value that can bring to the customers, and especially in the integration space between the backend SAP ERP or S/4HANA systems to the e-commerce platforms. So there is a lot of work that we have been putting in. One of the PTG groups was instrumental in building that product. I mean, and Manoj comes with one such PTG group that we focus and invest quite a lot on. He actually leads the data related PTG in the S/4HANA space. But I mean, all in all, the key takeaway from this slide is we have been in the SAP space for a long time. Around close to 3,000 people are SAP consultants alone out of the 8,000 people that we are talking about. I mean, that is our primary bread and butter as far as the services portfolio is concerned. In a nutshell, that is about SAP practice. Now, quickly moving on to data partner. And what is a data partner? What are the typical roles and responsibilities, and what are the expectations from a data partner? I don't know how many of you have heard of the phrase data partner, but before getting into the data partner phrase and explaining what that is, let us quickly see some statistics first. This is a survey coming from a SAP user group that was conducted in the UK and Ireland, SAP user group. Just the way SAP in the Americas, there is an SAP ESR. In every country, in many of the countries, SAP has user groups. In UK, it is SAP UK ISUZ, UK and Ireland put together. And in India, it is Indus, I guess. There is a Indus group, and many other groups also are there. In SAP UK and Ireland group, when this recent survey, I mean, while this is primarily being conducted for SAP US customers, the survey that was taken from the UK and Ireland group, because this is the as latest as 4 months ago, I guess. So around 116 SAP user organizations were actually surveyed, and some interesting and also important statistics have been observed in the survey. 61% said to have data management challenges have been impeding their or will impede the automation of the business process. That's a very, very big number. 66%, that is 2 out of every 3 customers that were surveyed, stated that data management is a challenge when moving from SAP ECC to S/4HANA. Those two being very SAP-centric products in itself, and having 66% of them actually talking about the data challenges, data management challenges from while moving from SAP ECC to S/4HANA, where the underlying data structures are more or less, common. There are definitely differences between the underlying structures between ECC and S/4HANA, but still those two are SAP products, and 66% of them mentioning that there are quite a lot of data challenges, data management challenges while moving from ECC to S/4HANA is an important factor that we all need to really understand why users are saying that. And another important factor is not just the data management challenges. When the survey was conducted, and when the survey asked about what are the business intelligence oriented challenges, all of those business intelligence challenges also started pointing back to data. And if you look at that, the business intelligence requirements related challenges, and the respondents responded in such a way that 26% of those seem to be around data accuracy and consistency, dashboards and visualization. And 18% have actually mentioned that data governance is one of their key challenges. So if you see, everything boils down and goes back to data. And any implementation, obviously, we all agree and understand the importance of the master data correctness, master data validity, accuracy, and so on. And that calls for a business case for an important role in the implementation journey, in the implementation of S/4HANA digital journey, especially for customers, a data partner. So here, I would actually ask my colleague, who has been leading the data practice and the data PTG, especially SAP data, and let us ask him as to what he feels and why does he feel that, first of all, what is this data partner in the first place? And why does he feel a specialized data partner, if I may use the term, is in the first place needed in this kind of S/4HANA data journey? Manoj, do you want to address that question? You're on mute, Manoj.
Thanks, Sridhar. In the upcoming slides, I would definitely explain the role of the data partner and their importance in handling the challenges around the data. Now, we can pretty much say for this customer, what we are seeing in the slide, we have implementation partner and a data partner. So why we are differentiating here? The customer planning on S/4HANA digital journey must be cautious about their data. As you rightly suggested in the earlier slide, the challenges are showing that we should be cautious about data. A specialized data partner needs to be considered during S/4HANA digital journey, sometimes a different partner, not the implementation, because the data which is supposed to be migrated has to be valid, accurate, consistent, and uniform. Also, the data partner needs to make sure that it makes the data journey cost effective and well aligned within the project implementation timelines. These are the various things which he has to do. As an implementation partner, if he looks mainly from the go live of an S/4HANA digital process. But bringing the data along with the implementation is the role of the data partner, what we want to emphasize on. And in detail to continue, I would like to highlight on the challenges. These are the challenges which I want to talk about, mainly data accuracy, consistency, uniformity, and validation. These are very, very crucial during a data migration process. These are the things which we have observed when we have done data implementations for our various customers. So moving forward, accuracy. When we talk about accuracy, we will talk it in 2 terms. First phase. The first phase of accuracy challenges comes in source system for identifying data inconsistencies such as missing records, null records, mandatory fields, and technicalities of a data set. Now, what we are talking here. For example, in one of our customers, what we have seen is the material views were given in the source, but the basic information of the material was missing. Similarly, customer was not extended to any company code, but he still has open transactions on him. These are typical cases where we are missing our materials and customers' basic information. These kind of accuracies has to be addressed, and it should be, these challenges has to be addressed before we start our journey as a data migration. The second phase comes when the accuracy has to be tested at the target level. At the target level, when we load the data, we definitely need to know what is our source data, what is our target data, and when we reconcile it, we should be able to focus on our load accuracy. Moving on, the second challenge which we have seen with our customers is consistency. It generally comes during the extraction phase. We need to check the extracted data is consistent or not. To make sure, we need to avoid duplicates and apply filters to fetch appropriate data during the S/4HANA digital journey. What are we talking on consistency now? I would like to give an example. In one of our customers, we have seen multiple vendor records exist for the same vendor, but with different addresses. Multiple materials do exist for the same material with different descriptions or same descriptions. Now, how to identify these kind of duplicates? When we have done such kind of scenarios with our customers, we have made a repository to identify such unique records. For example, when we did for one of our customers, every vendor would be uniquely identified with this tax identification number. Materials on combination of their reference materials, their material groups, their commodity codes, weight, UOM combinations, we would be able to identify materials uniquely. So that's how we used to address the consistency challenges. Moving on, we have challenge related to uniformity. It is very typically technical in nature. When we do a technical assessment with respect to customer, we find out that the source and target structures do not match in terms of their data types, in terms of their formats, and also we need to make sure that whether we need to do casting or conversion of the data fields. This is one of the study which needs to be done. Now, for a typical example, we have a material master in S/4HANA, which is around 18 characteristics, but in different source fields, we used to have different lengths. Now, we need to make sure that this kind of uniformity of data is maintained. Moving on, we have one more data thing, a data challenge, which was foreseen is data validation. Capturing. Now in data validation, this error comes during transformation phase. Mainly, we need to transform the data from source to target based on the business rules which we have identified during business workshops, such that we convert and transform the data as per the standards of target system. Also, there was a brief procedure. What we follow is, before loading the data, we need to make sure that business approves the data as per the standards. Such kind of approval system was not there. That was one of the challenge. Another challenge during validation, what we look around is data enrichment. Like a couple of business processes in SAP ERP does not exist, but still in S4, those processes has to be implemented. Now, we have to build that data afresh within the ETL system to make sure that data is present. Such kind of scenarios needs to be taken care in validation. So these are the typical challenges which we have come across when we were serving our customers on their data migration journey.
And then what did we do? I mean, because see, one of the important examples that you gave, or just wanted to add one point around that important example, Manoj, is in some of the legacy ERP systems, be it SAP or be it non-SAP, doesn't matter. I mean, some business processes were not even needed at that point in time when that was implemented, that ERP was implemented. Let us assume, I mean, probably finance was part of a different system, and finance was never part of a old ERP, or maybe a manufacturing was running in a QAD system separately earlier. These kind of examples, these kind of scenarios is something that we have seen. And when it comes to S4, the same example that Manoj was actually explaining, now the organization, the customer organization decided to implement all of these together in the S4HANA as a true ERP. And all the data that was not available in one of the legacy ERPs, or it is available as a different legacy, or sometimes some of the business processes that were not even thought through those days, that are being planned to be implemented, because S4 has its own decent and also best practices based business process available for us, for the customers to use. And if the customers decide to use a new business process altogether, which was not even part of any of their earlier legacy systems, suddenly the data doesn't even exist for us to extract. That kind of a business process was not there earlier. That kind of a data was not getting generated, or no master data also probably was available related to that very business process. And now we wanted to implement. How do we do that? How do we build data for that? That is one example, that Manoj was explaining. And then the same vendors and materials that he took, especially vendors, it's quite possible vendors, customers, and so on. The same vendor would have been created by two different groups, just because the addresses were different. And then when we actually contact customers' business teams, are these the same? Probably they were also not in a position to differentiate or identify whether these were the same or not. So we actually started understanding their data. And one of the key examples that Manoj, probably I'm repeating a bit, but this is very, very important. And why YASH as a data partner was able to actually be successfully do all of these, in order to explain that, I'm taking that example and re-explaining that a bit. Vendors, we saw, that what parameters can we actually consider to identify whether the vendor is a duplicate vendor or whether it is the same vendor. Customers by default actually push us towards, or point us towards, why don't you look at the addresses? The addresses probably will give you whether it is the same vendor or not. But address is not a true parameter based on which you can really identify whether a vendor is a same vendor or not. Because the same vendor could have multiple places from where he would be operating from. And as an organization, as a customer, this organization, and we have to be able to identify, because we are talking about a new system implementation and we need to consolidate all the vendors. And then we thought vendor identification, duplicate vendor identification probably is not based on the address, but tax identification number is a right parameter to identify that. Materials, the descriptions are not really useful. Descriptions could be the same, could be different, but a lot of other parameters need to be considered to identify the duplicate data in itself, duplicate master data in itself. And for every data object that you can think of that is coming into SAP, be it customers, vendors, of course, I should not be using the term customers and vendors anymore in the context of S4HANA. It is all business partners. In the context of business partners, in the context of materials, in the context of any other master data elements that we are bringing into SAP S4HANA, we have identified a set of parameters for each of these business objects, each of these business data objects, as to what parameters should be considered, what parameters should we be taken into consideration for identifying the duplicates in that. That is an important aspect, that we learned in a hard way, and we have been actually, sharing these challenges, sharing these experiences with all our customers to ensure that when they are doing the data migration, when they are actually doing the S4HANA implementation, the data related experiences that we gather, data related innovations that we brought over should be useful and can be useful by them, and by using YASH as a data partner. Once again, it is very typical of a lot of customers' journey that the implementation partner is the data partner. But not all the implementation partners may or may not have this kind of an experience. In such a case, we thought, why not share our experiences and actually explain what our data partner, what the role that YASH as a data partner would play, what differentiation that we would bring onto the table, and what kind of frameworks and accelerators we have built. And that I will request Manoj to take over.
Yes, Sridhar. So typically, with our experience with our customers, YASH as a data partner has supported many customers in a successful S/4HANA digital journey migration. Now, with our experience, we were able to come up with a comprehensive S/4HANA migration framework, which comprises of strategies to tackle a variety of challenges. The four major pillars of our frameworks are namely, assess. A thorough assessment of the source system would be done to identify the fit gap analysis for data uniformity and profile source system for accuracy. Now, this is the one pillar by which we want to answer the typical data challenge related to our uniformities and the accuracy challenges which will come across our source systems. The another pillar which we have is transform. In transform, YASH provide inputs on the ETL tool. Generally, the ETL tools which we worked upon with our customers were SAP Data Services, SAP Smart Data Integration, and DMC Cockpit directly. So since we are limited to S/4HANA data migration journey, in this, we were able to suggest customer which tool they can utilize based on their infrastructure, volume of data, and landscape. YASH team would also provide resolutions to overcome the challenges such as consistency, validation, and accuracy, which we already discussed, with the help of ETL tool, which we have suggested. Similarly, YASH would provide a reusable architecture and framework, which can further be utilized by the customer for their future rollouts. Similarly, moving forward, schedule. This is one of the most important pillar which we have observed is when the implementation team moves forward, the schedule of the data migration has to be part of it. We have to make sure that we follow the footprints of the implementation team. The implementation for that, we also propose our schedule within the timelines of the project implementation team. The phases of the planning and the delivery of a project lifecycle comprises of workshops, development life cycles, mock cycles for testing at different landscapes, loading and reconciliation of the reports. YASH generates various reports during the life cycle of the project, which would help users to identify the profiling issues which they encounter. We provide the preload validation files for them to have a business approval before they load the data into the system. We provide reconciliation reports such that they can compare their source and target data to make sure that they have 100% accuracy during their data migration journey. The final pillar, which every customer asked us, is with respect to speed up the process of migration. How can we accelerate the data migration journey? How can we accelerate as well as make them effective in implementing their journey? So we came up with our pre-built accelerator infrastructure, which can speed up the whole migration process. We have built pre-built mapping sheets with respect to different sources such as SAP ECC, Oracle EBS, JD Edwards, couple more, etc. With the help of these accelerators, infrastructure what we have built, with respect to our mapping sheets which are available with respect to different sources, we were able to deploy a project within time and make it cost effective. And this is reusable for them for their future rollouts. So that's how we made sure that we cover all the angles with respect to supporting a customer, to make sure that he overcomes his challenges, to make sure that he can follow the project a schedule which is relevant for his implementation, and he can accelerate and make a cost-effective solution such that he can make sure that he has a safe and a quality S/4HANA data migration journey.
Okay, let me just jump in and quickly explain, one or two terms here. As part of our platform and technology groups, it's an interesting investment groups, that we have actually created internally, wherein technology is changing. Every technology, SAP technology, has been changing during the last 5 to 7 years, especially in a very rapid pace. So in that context, I mean, we also as SAP partners also understand and realize the importance of investing in our own teams, in our own personnel, and also more importantly, for us to invest in team members, I mean, within ourselves, I mean, but as our own organization, as our own employees, in our own employees, but at the same time, create reusable, create acceleration in the customer's journeys. And for that, for there are specific tasks that each of these PTG groups, I mean, platform and technology groups, I mean, that we call internally, have been tasked to do. And I mean, all of them come up with various different accelerators that are useful in the overall journey. For example, there is a conversion accelerator. I know we are talking about data here. There is a ECC to S4 conversion accelerator we call YASH for HANA. And there is a data migration accelerator in the context of S4 HANA migration. We call it as YASH S4 MIG. So within S4 MIG also, there are a couple of things that that are currently being presented. We will quickly have a look at the architecture of each of these. How are these actually going to accelerate? We also quickly show you, it's all coming back to the type of the data that would eventually get loaded into S4 HANA, right? I mean, it all boils down to various different data objects. And how many for such data objects we do have built all these acceleration, or rather, what did we build in the accelerators, and that too using two different technologies, SDI and SDS, and how are those helpful? What various data objects for which all of these accelerators have been built? That entire thing, I mean, Manoj will actually take you through. And not only that, but he'll also quickly run a couple of scenarios in a demo fashion as well. Manoj.
Thanks, Sridhar. In this slide, it represents the snapshot of our architecture, which we the YASH S4 MIG with migration tool using SAP Smart Data Integration, what we have developed and deployed to our customer. This accelerator has been tested with our customers and they're happy with the results. Now I would like to explain the architecture part of it. On the left-hand side, you can see different sources. SAP SDI, it is available within HANA server. Now, when we activate an SDI server, SDI, Smart Data Integration, it does provide us adapters. These adapters are useful for us to connect to different sources as listed on the left-hand side of the slide. Now, how did we architect? Using the SDI, we extract the data, we stage it within our HANA DB. We create a staging table, we extract the data, we keep it within our extraction staging table. Now, using the business transformation rules, we transform the data and keep it in the next staging. Here, after transform, we validate the data and make sure that we generate a preload file for the business approval. Here, all the challenges which we have mentioned earlier in terms of accuracy, in terms of consistency, in terms of validation, everything will be taken care in terms of profiling, extraction, transform, and validation. Once the data is pure, as per the standards, what we have thought, we will, once and we get the business approval, we load it into the DMC staging table. Now, this is the crux of it. Now, we are not directly using SDI to load data into S4 HANA because it's a direct staging. It's a table-to-table transfer. We are not helping there. What we are trying to do instead is we are trying to keep it in the staging area of DMC, Data Migration Cockpit. So when we run the data from the staging table of the cockpit, it makes sure that it goes through the applications or the LTMC framework such that errors are avoided when we load into the target system. So we will be able to capture the error records in case if it is there. Else, all the data records will go through the project which we created in DMC for that staging and loads the record into SAP S4 HANA. Finally, we have a reconciliation staging where we compare our source and target and make sure that we have 100% load accuracy. Now, if we look, what do we have as of now? I would like to emphasize here that we have already developed around 50 objects in our YASH S4 MIG using a Smart Data Integration, which we have built with respect to pre-built flow graphs, for profiling the data, for extraction of the data, for transformation of the data, for preload validation, for load and reconciliations. For all of this, we have developed the jobs, and we made sure that this is available for more than around 50 objects approximately with us. Now, what does it brings as an advantage to our customer? We do not have to buy any additional licenses to get our SDI activated. It is available within our HANA server. We are using our existing framework. Second thing, we can connect to multiple sources. Since we have already pre-developed flow graphs, it will help us in faster migration. Since we have kept all the checks related to transform and validation upright, the quality of data is not compromised. We are making sure that our quality of data is 100%. And we are providing the reconciliation report such that customer can verify the load accuracy. Importantly, this summarizes the slide, but this is one of the effective measures when we do not have an ETL. When we don't have an ETL available with the customer, this is one of the very useful architecture which can be proposed to the customer. Since we have existing 50 objects available, that will speed up the process of migration. Similarly, we have developed our accelerator in SAP Data Services, and namely, we call it everyone SAP Business Objects Data Services Platform. Everyone is famous. I assume most of the world is famous with this tool. It's a pretty good tool, but it comes with licenses from SAP. So, but for this also, many of the customers already have BODS with our customers. We propose to have them this architecture as an accelerator architecture to speed up their migration process, because it provides there are a couple of limitations in SDI with respect to transformation of data compared to BODS. BODS provides a flexibility of options like cleansing of data, transforming of data, validation of data. We have n number of options in BODS. Similarly, we can extract it from our legacy, any source in terms of legacy, our files, our database, our applications. We does the transformation job using our ETL BODS. And BODS has its own IDOC structure, as well as it can generate files which can be loaded into S/4HANA. And finally, we extract the data and reconcile within our ETL tool of BODS to make sure that our process of migration is accurate and it is flawless. Now, when we look at the repo, what we have currently is we have more than 80 objects for which we already developed jobs to profile, to extract, to transform, to preload, to load and reconcile. The advantages are similar to SDI, except the licensing part, because BODS comes with a license. Now, we said around 50 to 80 objects. We wanted to categorize these objects module-wise such that you can have a look in terms of our repo, what we hold. So for all these objects, data objects, we have pre-built jobs available with us, which can be implemented and kickstart our data migration process to many of our customers. Generally, it is self-written, but I would like to take a couple of them. Like for our upcoming demos, we are picking up fixed assets, which will be used for SDI, material master related ones for BODS, and almost everything. And we are adding to this list. This is not the final list. We are going to add more, but as of now, we have this concise list available with us with respect to our accelerator architecture. Now, what did we observe? What did we observe when we implemented this accelerator into our customers? There are typical phases of developments and typical phases of hours invest in a migration project. The hours are majorly invested during a development of an object to make sure that they incorporate the extraction rules, they incorporate the validation rules, they incorporate the transformation rules. The development, we have checked for simple to complex objects. We have taken on the average side. When we implement our accelerator, it comes with the complete structure. We have to make changes with respect to the rules, with respect to the lookups, and it should be ready to go. By that, we are able to save more than 50% of the workload what used to happen in the development side, and it should speed up our realization phase in terms of development. Similarly, the hours which are invested by the business, for doing a preload validation or for reconciliation also gradually came down, because they have a handy report in their hand where they can compare the results, and they can give a faster approvals, by which we would be able to get a faster approvals for loading, faster reconciliations in terms of accuracy was possible. So we were able to capture and see that overall, if I put it on a generic note, we were able to reduce 40 to 50% of the workload hours in terms of development, in terms of verifications. We were able to reduce 40 to 50% of hours for an ideal customer.
That is only within data, right, Manoj? Data
Yes.
migration.
Yes, this is within data. Sridhar, you would like to add anything before moving to case studies?
Please continue.
Yeah. With respect to case studies, this is one of our, I would say this is very close to our, because here this was, okay, I do have a chat. I'll answer the questions in the Q&A session. In the case study, I've seen DMC file transfer. It is one of our customers where I would like to emphasize that the implementation was done by a different service provider, and we were the data partners. We first time played data partners in this project, and we started like evolving around this from this project itself. And we started and multi-folded ourselves in the data partner roles for different other customers. This customer was mainly into chemical industry, and this was like we had a custom whose database was non-SAP. It was on legacy, so they used WinSchedule to extract the data. While getting the data using the WinSchedule, we were able to clean and cleanse the data. The cleansed data was transformed and loaded into data migration S/4HANA using the data migration cockpit. So both, if we say MMWM, SDPP, FICO, QMPM, these are the different function areas where we were able to load the data into the system, and all the open balances with respect to inventories, open stocks, as well as APAR, we were able to load. And the major achievement, what I would like to convey here is when we did this, we were able to, when we did the last part, that is the inventory reconciliation, the deviation which it showed was minimal. It was around 0.001%. So we were at almost accurate to 100%. Like we were able to make sure that the inventory was up to date. There was no inventory loss. There was no open transaction lost. That was one of the biggest achievements we were able to get out of this project.
And then one interesting point, I mean, I know interest of time, I mean, we still only have 10 minutes left, but only one point I would like to add here. Incidentally, this is one of the case studies, this is very customers wherein implementation partner was different, and YASH was precisely pulled into the data migration for the S/4HANA implementation that was going on. And you have heard the results from a data loading standpoint, data migration standpoint, and we did not have any issues whatsoever, not only loading the data correctly, accurately, but also be in line with the S/4HANA implementation timeline, project schedules as well. And that's because of our accelerators too, because those accelerators also helped us migrate the data in a cost-effective and a faster manner as well. Continue. I know, I mean, we have a couple of demos also lined up.
Yes. So the next case study which we want to talk about is with respect to the architecture, which I explained with respect to YASH S4 MIG. Here, this was one of our prestigious customers where he was into lead batteries business. Now, there were two parties to it. One, we were implementing RISE with SAP S4HANA. Second part was here we were doing both roles. We were the implementation partner as well as the data partner. We clearly emphasized this to our customer that we were playing both the roles, and that's how we were able to help them out. Now, in this particular case, we were able to establish SDI successfully, and we developed around 30 objects for them. In the SDI, we were able to deploy our 30 objects, accelerated objects for them. They were able to use, and from using the SDI objects, we were able to cleanse the data, transform the data, load it into the DMC staging. From there, using the DMC cockpit, we were able to load into S4HANA. So he was a very big customer into multiple rollouts, and this is the place where we were able to reuse our architecture also, because it went from US to his first rollout was in US, then it went to UK. So multiple rollouts were also well supported by us with the framework which was developed.
By the way, this is our first RISE implementation, and not only ours. YASH was the first partner who could actually start the RISE with SAP S4HANA implementation in the US. I mean, they not only were they were actually YASH was the first one to actually close this kind of a project in the US. When the RISE was initiated, RISE with SAP program was initiated last year. We started the sales cycle somewhere in March, and by August timeframe, we were awarded this project, and that's when it started. It's about to actually, I think it is in the UAT stage right now, if I am not mistaken. Go ahead, Manoj.
So upcoming are demos. We have planned our demos with respect to SDI on fixed asset, as I said earlier. So let's
full transparency. I mean, our apologies. There is some amount of background noise here. Unfortunately, we could not really, get that taken off of the video. So our apologies in advance. Manoj, I mean, if you're not, it's not started. Click on.
Hello everyone. Welcome to S4HANA Data Migration demo using SAP SDI tool. As a part of data migration activity, we perform below steps in the demo. Using data profiling as a pre-check, we check for missing and null values in source data. Next step, in extraction, we extract the source data and check for duplicates. Next, in transformation, we transform the source data into target data as per the defined business rules and check for uniformity validation of data. Next, in preload validation, the transform data is submitted for business approval using DMC staging tables. Next, the business approved data would be loaded to the target system using DMC. The architecture explains the usage of SAP SDI tool in S4HANA data migration process. With the help of SDI adapter, we can connect to the different source system. In our case, it's an Excel. Within SDI, we perform transformation and validation of the data. We have three things involved here. Excel with the data as a source. For ETL activities, we have SDI and DMC system. And S4HANA is our target system. So these are the fixed asset source files with the filled data. Coming to the SDI tool, we created flow graphs for fixed asset which have profile, extraction, transformation, and preload. Data would be migrated into the target system using data migration cockpit. So let's start the demo. Let's run profiling job to scan source data for identifying missing and null values. Now the flow graph is completed successfully, and see what we get into the table. So these are the error records which are captured during data profiling from the source. Asset class is missing, cost center is missing, and company code is missing. So the error records are submitted to the business for their intervention. We are going to run extraction, transformation, and preload validation flow graphs in sequence. We expect to remove duplicate records during extraction. During the transformation, the asset class field data should be transformed from ABCD to 3000 and company code data from CC01 to 1710. At the end of preload job execution, we expect to generate successful transform record and unsuccessful records. The successful records are submitted to the business approval and unsuccessful records for business intervention. Once the preload successful records are rectified and we get the business approval on successful record, we run the data migration cockpit to load data from the DMC staging. Coming to the data migration cockpit, we have already created a project for asset master load, and I could see the option simulate. So let's hit on simulate. After a couple of minutes, the simulation is completed and I can see the migrate option is populated. So let's start migration. After finishing the migration task, I could see migration progress is 100%. And now let's go to the target system ANLA table, which is the asset master record segment table. And based on today's date, let's see how many records we have. Yes, so all the records are created successfully. So to summarize, we successfully profiled the source data, extracted and transformed data, generated preload staging for business verification, and finally loaded into the target system using data migration cockpit. By this, we conclude the demo, and thank you for this opportunity.
Now we have demo related to SAP BODS, for material master.
Hello everyone, welcome to S4HANA data migration demo using ETL as SAP bots. As a part of data migration activity, we perform below steps in demo. Using data profiling as the pre-check, we check for missing and null values in source data. Next step, in extraction, we extract the source data and check for duplicates. Next, in transformation, we transform the source data into target data as per the defined business rules and check for uniformity validation of data. Next, transform data is submitted for business approval using preload validation files. Next, the business approved data would be loaded to the target system. Finally, we check the success of migration from source to target data using reconciliation report. The architecture explains the usage of SAP Bots ETL tool in S4HANA data migration process. With the help of Bots adapter, we can connect to the different sources. In our case, it's Excel. Within Bots, we perform transformation and validation of the data. The transformed data is loaded into the target system. We have three things involved here: source as an Excel for ETL activities, bot system, and S4HANA system as a target system. These are the material master source files with the field data. Coming to bots ETL, we created project for material master which has job namely profile, extraction, transformation, preload, load, and recon. Data would be loaded into this target system after successful migration. Let's start the demo. Let's run profiling job. To scan source data for identifying missing and null values. And the job is completed successfully. These are the error data records which are captured during data profiling from the source. The error record are submitted to the business for their intervention. We are going to run extraction, transformation, and preload validation job in a sequence. We expect to remove duplicate record during extraction. We have lookup table maintained. During transformation, the planned field data should be transformed from PLOT to 1710 and sales organization data from INSB to 1710. At the end preload job execution, we expect to generate successful transformed record and unsuccessful records. The job is completed now. We can see the records. Here we can see the source value and the transformed value into the target. So the successful record are submitted to the business approval and unsuccessful records for the business intervention. Once the preload unsuccessful records are rectified and got the business approval on successful records, we run the load job. Now our load job is completed. Coming to the SAP system, let's see if we have this record posted in Mara table, which is a general material data table. And yes, we have all the record posted successfully in the table. Now, in order to recheck the validity of source and target record, we run the reconciliation job. Now our recon job is completed successfully. After finishing this job, we can see the details of source field value and transform data fields which is loaded into the target system. Material number from source, and after the transformation, planned source, planned transformation, and so on. So to summarize, we successfully profiled the source data, extracted and transformed the data, generated preload files for business verification, loaded into the target system, and finally reconcile the source and target data. By this, we conclude the demo.
Hey, thanks for that. I know we've overshot, by a couple of minutes. Sorry for that. But the key takeaway from this, I wanted to quickly summarize is to ensure that, or to help you understand that, we do have all these various different data objects related, jobs, flow graphs, programs, transformation activities, all of those are in place. And we encourage our customers to make use of all of these in their S/4HANA digital journey. And we would request any one of you, if you have any further questions, to feel free to reach out to us at info@yash.com. And then one of us would be able to actually respond to all your questions and queries, and we will be more than happy to help you out in subsequent discussions. And if you have any questions, or if you have any further things, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you once again for joining. And I know, we've overshot, but we will still open some time for the questions if you have any.
I think there was a question which was given by Digvijay Court, asking that he has seen the customer extend to the record to credit management. This is the one thing which I need to add is the list of objects which were mentioned were related to both ECC and S/4HANA. That's the reason you can see a customer extending to credit management. When it comes to the BP, it is like BP extension. We have an option available of mass upload, that is through DMC. We are using the same for extending the collection role management. Hope that answers the question. But as of now, we are at the verge of developing that accelerator. Once done, we would be able to add it to our list. As of now, it is not added as it's suggested in the list. Any other questions? Please let us know.
All right. I mean, once again, thank you for extending this, and really appreciate that. And I mean, we could not really finish that in time. I'm sorry about that again, but thank you once again for joining. With that, please feel free to reach out anytime. I mean, at info@ash.com. Just to let you know, we are now actually sponsoring, and we are a platinum sponsor in SAP Insider event that is upcoming in July, from July 19th to 21st in Las Vegas. If you happen to come over to that event, please feel free to reach to us. We are a platinum sponsor. You will not miss us, and we are at booth number 205. Thank you once again. Have a nice day.
Thank you all. Thank you.